All right, all right, all right, all right. We are live. Welcome. Hey everyone, Dave here with Affordable Door and Gate. Just remember, it's Saturday night. It's time to party. Anything goes. But I just wanted to start off. I've been sitting here, I've been texting Tanner. Tanner's a good man. I was thinking about it. And one of the things that just kind of popped in my brain was I was thinking to myself, do you guys ever experience this? Do you guys ever experience the whole you ever like do the driving through town type of thing, right? And you're like seeing doors that either you did or you didn't go good or something broke there, or maybe you didn't get the job, maybe you did get the job, maybe somebody left you hanging. I was just kind of wondering about that. And so with it being wintertime, I'm going to go on a little tangent here. You're more welcome. Come on in. Like I said, don't forget, please hit the like button. This helps wake up the algo, wakes everybody up, because everybody's kind of nap time. But you're more welcome to ask any questions or just come along for the ride. So I was thinking about it today, and we were cruising through a part of town. It's north of us, and I don't know why, but I flipped. Right, I just flipped. I told the wife. I said, I remember that garage door, and she's like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I remember that garage door." Now this place, I don't really want to like say names. I might slip. If I do, it's no big deal. Nobody probably even know. But basically, it's a resort. You have fun. You go there. You can do sledding, um, snowshoeing, whatever. You can do all kinds of stuff there. They also have an indoor water park and all this, right? But you know how hard it is to get in to places, right? Like when that door opens, right? All it could just be that one phone call, right? Just that one phone call, right? Well, this is one of those like we didn't do no advertising. Somehow they found us. We're supposed to do one door on a building they bought. They bought an old, I don't want to say it's dilapidated, but it was an older school building. Um, and they just wanted to use it for maintenance, right? For putting in some equipment and stuff like that. They just bought the building. Well, anyways, we're cruising by. It's on the main drag. I see it, right? And I'm like, I remember that garage door. And my wife's like, whoa, what's going on? And I said, oh, yeah. I said, that's when Junior, I think the one guy we had was Junior, we called. This guy wasn't, how do I say it? I see you, Rusty. What's up, Rusty? He wasn't fit for the job, let's just say. So he ended up, left me hanging, which I always had a feeling this was going to happen. And I scored him and told him, I said, dude, I said, why are you always showing up a minute to 3 minutes before 8 o'clock when we start? And he's like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. He says, I'm not late. And I was like, I know, but I was like, can you be like 5-10 minutes? Now, here's the thing, right? In the business, you get paid when you clock in, you're on the clock. So even if you get there at 7:45, 7:30, you're on the clock, you're getting paid. Start loading trucks, do whatever, your bathroom routine, get your coffee, blah blah blah, get your stuff loaded up, you're on the clock, right? But no, this guy always pushed it. Well, this one day we had I wouldn't say it was a horrible snowstorm, but it was one of those storms. I think this was also why it triggered when I was talking to Tanner, is they got the ice storm where we might get a little bit up here in Michigan too. But so anywho, we got this ice across the parking lot at the shop. You guys have seen the parking lot. It's pretty flat, it's just gravel, right? We got a little bit of concrete up by the shop. And I kid you not, the clock is ticking, right? Now I had my old secretary, and so I told her, I'm already pacing, right? And I had I think that was what was it? It was like it was wide. So it was probably 14 by 16 or 16 by 14. They were pretty big sections, and they're double stacked, right? And I remember I'm trying to lift. Now these are insulated, steel on steel, sandwich doors, right? And I'll be darned because I got to put them on top of a truck, right? I got my F-250, my 6.4 Power Stroke, and so I'm like, dude, I do not want to like take these apart. You know what I mean? They got to go on top. I want them just in their bundles. I want I want to strap them, and I want to go, right? And so, I mean, I'm doing everything. You have anybody, if you guys have been here, do put one in the comments. Be like, oh man, been there. Well, you're trying to do way too much. You're trying to do it by yourself when you should ask for help, right? The old boys, the old nuts, you know what I'm saying? Like they're about ready to drop out because you're just trying to lift this stuff. So Anywho, I'm trying like hell. I can't get this out there, right? I get it rolled out, right? But the whole parking lot, everything is ice. So this dude's not showing up right now. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, Dave, stay cool. Stay cool, Dave. I'm like, it's probably because here's the thing, right? We had the ice storm, right? We had a little bit of snow and stuff. So he's probably running behind. There's probably an accident. He's got a good reason, right? He's going to be a little late here. So, but oh no, right? Now it's 5 minutes past. He's not there. Now it's 10 minutes past. He's not there. Now, about the 10 to 15 mark, I finally got with the secretary and I said, hey, I said, you need to get on the phone with Junior like right now and find out where he's at. Well, of course, Junior don't have a phone, right? That he carries, a cell phone. So it goes to the landline or it's his wife's phone. I can't remember if it was landline or the wife's cell phone. Anyways, secretary's calling her, and she's like, I don't know. This is like the second time she's already called now. She goes, well, I don't know. She says, his car's in the driveway, but I don't see him. So this is what the secretary leaves back to me, right? And I'm already marching back and forth in the office, and I'm like, what do you mean you see his car's in the driveway, but you don't know where he's at? I said, what is he doing? Is he in the basement sucking his thumb? I'm like, what's going on? And so I'm like, I'm just getting irritated. Finally, it's 30 minutes past, probably about the 45 minutes. I got to bail, man. I got to bail. And so I ended up, I called my stepdad, right? Thank goodness for my stepdad. He saved me so many times. Cheers. So stepdad comes. Now, stepdad's got a few more years on him, you know what I mean? And he was still pretty fit for even then, right? But we're lifting these doors. And this is why sometimes I'm kind of against, right? Because you got to think of all the situations, and everybody's situation is different, right? But this is why I like the vans. So anyways, we're trying to put these sections on top of the ladder rack, on top of the truck, on a 4-wheel drive, F-250. And all I remember is we got the sections above our head, barely on his end, right? I could do it pretty good, right? I got a little bit of Popeyes there. I get above, right? Next thing I know, the wind's blowing bad, man. I mean, we are literally holding on to the door sections as we are skating across. We probably went about 10, I don't think 15 feet, but probably about 10 feet. We slid. And all I'm doing is I'm looking at him and I said, please don't let go. Please don't let go. And we're doing everything we can to hang on to this. When we finally come to a stop on the ice, gather ourselves, right? We finally get it on the truck. We get the next section up on top of the truck. All right, let's approach this a different way. Instead of trying to go over the truck, let's go from the back end, slide them up together. I mean, you basically had to have those metal cleats to basically attraction. So anyways, now we're already late for the customer. Like, this is not good. This is our first time for this customer. First time. And I mean, our first impression is horrendous. And Junior never showed up the whole time we're there, which was kind of good because I was a little bit on edge. I probably would have blown up and I probably would have been said, oh, you're here now? Oh, you go home, and no phone call, no nothing. I told you every day, you're always 2 to 3 minutes before 8 o'clock. No. And so anywho, we cruise up there. Of course, now we are locked in 4-wheel drive, right? We are using everything to our resource to not crash and burn. And of course, this job it's right about 45 minutes away. I say from the shop one way. And so we get up there. Now this guy is kind of like, he's probably, I don't know if Iowa, they wear cowboy hats. Anybody, they wear cowboy hats. I know Texas is cowboy hats. But anyways, this man, he's got the cowboy hat on. He doesn't look real thrilled, and he's older, right? And it's almost like the Godfather, right? All these people, these maintenance guys kept walking up to him, and this dude's like sitting down, but he's got that cowboy hat on. I'm like, this ain't good. So anyways, we're busting Heine, right? He wasn't too bad on us, but he was, I'm just like, whoo, man, the roads, we had a little bit of delay. I didn't want to go into the whole long spew, my freaking employee didn't show up and, he called and his wife doesn't know where he's even at in their own house. And anywho, so we get going into it, right? Now, of course, I'm with my stepdad. He's worked me before. He's a good handsman. But even Junior probably be worse because Junior was just starting out in a sense. But anywho, so anyways, guess what happens now? Get the scissor lift in there. We start working, right? I think we maybe got towards the middle or the end. I can't quite remember. But that guy sat there the whole time and watching us the whole time. And that was like, I mean, it was like a lot of pressure. And guess what? We go up to go on the scissor lift, right? Next thing, smoke starts coming out of the motor. Oh my gosh. And I mean, the lift, I mean, I think I want to say it was on the end because it was like that last push up where it was one last thing we had to do, like with the opener or something. And I'm just like, I'm like in the scissor lift, like, please. And I'm like, what, now you turn into like, what do you do? Right. And when you don't have another seasoned tech with you, it's really hard, right? Because, another seasoned tech, like, we'd be like, got this. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'll hop down. I'll grab a ladder. You just stay right there. Don't you move. Don't you move. You stay right there. I'm going to climb right down this scissor lift, get you another ladder. Well, like I said, and my stepdad, he does the best. He's a great dude. He's helped me out many times, but we were stuck. So I went down, and then we had to come back another day. And I was just like, I was so bummed because of course the next day is already jammed full of stuff. So now you gotta persist through the night, right? And when you go back home, whatever time, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now you gotta, or you gotta have the secretary while you're trying to work at the same time. Like, can you call those 3 customers tomorrow? We're not gonna make it. I got to get back to this job tomorrow. What's the weather supposed to be like? Oh man, it's good times. Good times. Let's throw a few of these comments up here. And like I said, you guys are more welcome. I'm going a little tangent. I'm just getting the party started. If you got anything going on out there, let me know. Trucks, products, wires, lawnmowers, I don't care. Rusty's here in the house. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? I like this one. Look at Evan. He's got sup, people. Love it. Love it. What's up, Garage Force One? Sweet name. Where's Garage Force One out of? Where are you out of? What state? Rusty's got one. He feels the pain. Feels the pain. Been there, done that. What's Evan says? I seen a picture of someone using a scissor lift on a 7-foot residential door the other day, and it made me mad. Dude, that's funny. That is funny. Can share. Okay. Casey's email me. He's got a video we can share down the road here. That's sweet. Yeah. Couldn't believe it, man. What the heck was that? What was that scissor lift called? I don't even make them anymore. I don't want to call it snorkel. Upright. It was an upright. That's what it was called. Upright. It was an upright scissor lift. I bought it from my old rental place. Well, they're still around, right? But I was so new into the game, I had no clue what to buy for a scissor lift, and we just kept renting this scissor lift. And so I was so hyper focused on it. I was like, "Hey, can you sell me this scissor lift?" And he's like, "Well, actually, we have to update our inventory anyways." And this scissor lift, looking back, he would have kept it for another couple of years, but since I offered, charged me, I think it was $4,500 back then, maybe 42 or something. It's kind of steep, seems like, for that old upright. What really got me those when we got done, he told me the 45 or whatever it was, right? And I get there and he's like, I got to charge a tax. I'm like, fudge. I'm like, dude, I saved up. I mean, I was saving the dollar to get this scissor lift because we were just dying. And I was like, I do not want to buy, I don't want to rent another scissor lift. You know what I mean? Like, I keep spending whatever it was expensive too. It was like $200 or something for a couple days or whatever. Versus now the place that we get them for like 400, 425, 450 for a whole month. Whoa. Now I guess they did include trailer. It was a crappy trailer though from the rental place. So dun, dun, dun. Tanner's in the house. Evan's got finally warmed up here now. I'm dealing with back injury from my day job. Oh man. Dude, how'd you mess up your back, man? That's not good. You got to take care of that back. This is good. I'm glad Evan brought this up. Just something for young guys, anybody, right? All of us. I tell you what, if I could go back in time, right? So the things I would look at now to preserve your body, right? Because I love the saying, right? I love the saying, if you could only get, in life, let's say they sat you down, right? And you could only get one vehicle, right? For your whole life, you take really good care, right? You change the oil, you'd wash it, you'd wax it, you'd vacuum it out, right? Well, that's your body, right? We only get one body for our life. And so you got to take really good care. Well, years ago, when I was working with doing the roofing, I ended up had a guy working with me, and we'd always have our little, you know how it is with you know how us men are. We like to have our little fun, right? Poking this and that. Well, anyways, he was yipping on me. He's like, "You're not doing your part. You're not carrying enough shingles." Well, I was carrying like one shingle at a time. I'm like, dude, I'd rather make. I'm a type. I'd rather make reps than to kill myself. You know what I mean? Like a super heavy load. So I was a younger man, of course, and the adrenaline got to me, and I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm like, watch this. I think I took like 3 bundles, maybe 4. I don't think it was 4. 4 is pretty much going to kill me on a ladder, probably blow through the ladder. I think it took like 2 or 3. It was probably 3. 3 bundles of shingles. I'm climbing up that ladder. I remember I got about maybe halfway, 3/4. I remember I felt something in my back kind of pop, almost like you would like crack your back or something. But I felt it pop. And I remember telling myself, "Ooh," I said, "that wasn't good." And it didn't really feel that good, like a pop, like when you pop your knuckles or something, you're like, "Oh, yeah, it feels good." It was more like, "Ooh," it's like that didn't sound good. And from this day on, you know what I mean? Like I said, I always got a slight back pain. Like shoveling, that's one thing. Like shoveling snow, I hate shoveling snow. That hurts my back. I don't know what is it about it, but ever since then, my back was never the same. You know what I mean? Has it crippled me? Nah. Do I live through it? Yeah. But it's just one of those things why you always got to really, you got to get yourself that sure winder. You got to get that spring turn because you got to, I mean, I can't believe how many guys I've come across now that have shoulder. So you got to really take your time, and not try to be Hercules because I don't know about you guys, but I'm assuming y'all have daddies and you have grandparents and you're going to be there one day. So am I. Look, I can't see real good here. Let me get you a light. Oh, yeah, the grays are coming. They're coming for us all. Ooh, different shades. Didn't know I did that. So you got to take care of that back, man. Maybe it was just on site. 7-foot door with they was it lift man. He says lift alone is 7 foot. Yeah, you don't even have to. You don't even. Maybe they're scared. They didn't want to fall. You know what I mean? Was it? Was it like what's OSHA got nowadays? It's like anything over. Isn't it anything over? Is it over 4 foot or 6 foot? You got to have a harness on. Maybe OSHA was there. They're like, screw this. I'll just be in a basket. Can't say nothing now. Look at me. I hear a lot of people just walk off the job. We haven't had too many problems with them, but I know that day could come. Do do. Man, I treat my body like hell. Oh man, I used to, but it seems like as you get older, you start looking at. I'm starting to look at more of the one ingredient. Like here's the thing, I like pop. Pop is bad. Got to drink more water. That's what's in here. It's water. Got to drink more water. Or the one ingredient. I like the one ingredient. Or look at it as poison. Right? Tell yourself it's poison. You want to eat that, whatever it is. Those Dorito chips. God darn, those are good. Those Dorito chips, they're poison. Don't eat them. Don't do it. I'm still not there yet. I'm trying. Evan says went to pick up a light box from a conveyor belt and felt an odd pop in my top portion of my spine. Dang, dude. That's not good. That's not good. Like I said, all it takes, it's weird how little things can really wipe you out. You know what I mean? When I cut my knee, I think most of I cut my knee with a skill saw when I was cutting. It was like a winter day. It was one of those days I wasn't in the right frame mind. I was like, plus I had the guard up like a dum dum, and I was using a gear skill saw, big one. I just bought the darn thing. I was like, oh, I want the big one. Yeah, well, it took my knee off pretty good, but I remember. I tell you what, boy, having your leg messed up. Wow. It's amazing how much you use. Like I remember there was a on the one property, there was a barn and it's only 20, no, it's like 50, 60, 70, somewhere in there, 60, 70 feet away. And I'm like, I need to go out there. I'm getting myself a damn screwdriver. I can't just sit here all day. I had stuff, like I got always stuff I can do. You know how it is when you're a homeowner, right? There's always electrical stuff that needs to be done. There's always something that needs to be caulked or fixed or something's leaking. And boy, it took me a while to get out there. I didn't know if I was going to make it back. I thought I was going to. Luckily, I took my phone. I thought I was going to have to call somebody and say, "Come pick me up, get me the wheelchair." So it's kind of like electricity. You don't realize how important it is until it's gone, right? So definitely got to take care of it. Oh, but I wanted to say, it says along with the Surewinder, you need a snowblower. Yes, yes. I've actually been thinking about. Um, I know it sounds goofy, but I'm thinking about electric one. I've actually got what do I got? Oh, I got the what's it called? Ego, the green one, right? The green machine. And I like it. I like it for the most part. I used to have a Ryobi. I used to have a Ryobi. I don't know if it's called anything. It's just Ryobi 48-volt little lawnmower, but I use it for like a golf cart, multitask. Um, and what I like about electric is it's just, what's really got me on electric in a sense. And I'm not a big, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to go get myself a Tesla and cars and stuff. They're just not there yet. But what gets me is when I think what really got me is when I had employees, right? Employees have really shown me how little society, not all, how little society knows about two-stroke engines. You know what I'm saying? And as I would work with these certain guys, right? Some just grunts to hand guys or whatever, just helpers. Um, I mean, they couldn't even start a weed whacker. You know what I mean? They couldn't even run a what do you call it? A concrete saw. And I would sit there and watch them, and my uncle or something would walk over to him and be like, dude, like you got to rev that up. The thing's got a clutch in it. You're going to burn the clutch up. They sitting there just bogging it and all these things. Well, then I realized that I went, I barely know any, honestly, but I don't know too many people that live on a farm anymore. You know what I mean? They don't have those skills of how to work on a carburetor or, even carbureted trucks, old trucks, right? I had a guy that worked for me one time. I left my plow truck there, went on vacation. By the way, if you own a business, don't go on vacation. That's when everything blows up. And so, anywho, I'm going on vacation. First one in like 3 years. I don't know. And so I go on vacation and I told the guy that was, now he's got a truck and a plow. So I'm like, he's the guy to do it, right? I mean, he drives his own personal truck with a plow. He's the guy to do it. And I told him, I said, look, I said, I got the keys in the Chevy. I had a Chevy. It was a square body. Forget what year, 87. I think it was an 87. It was carbureted. I know that. 305, 350. I don't remember which one. But I told him, I said, hey, man, the keys are in it. I've been using the truck just fine all winter. We're already, halfway, 3/4 of the way in winter. So if we get a big snowstorm, Chevy's all fueled up. It's got dual batteries. Everything's charged. It's running good. It stays on the property, right? I come back from vacation. Truck sitting back there with like 3 feet of snow on it. I'm like, dude, what the hell? I'm like, why is it, how'd you even, well, I tried starting it, but he said it never start. What do you mean the truck won't start? I said, did you push the gas pedal? Push the gas pedal? Why would you do that? I said, that sets the choke. Oh, I didn't know. I just cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked. And now I'm sitting there after he's telling me how many times he cranked it. And mind you, this has got brand new dual batteries in it. I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, did he burn up the starter in it too as he's cranking the hell out of this thing? And I said, oh, okay. She says, but I used my truck. Oh, okay, cool, man. Thanks. Well, like, what do I owe you? You know what I mean? Like, I gotta give you some money and gas and right. Well, that's the thing. He goes, when I was plowing, he goes, actually, I broke my truck. Oh my gosh, this is what I didn't want to happen. Because now how do I know if it was on this property? Was it on a different property? Is it just something that was a wear item? So I'm like, okay, I'm like, well, like, I guess take it in. I said, take it down the road. We got a plow shop right down the road. I said, take it down there and have them fix it and just tell me what it is. You know what I mean? I said, I'll pay for it. So luckily it wasn't too much, but now I think of it, what's weird is he drove a truck right down to that same place. He had to do work on it, on one of their doors down there. And he locked up the motor on another Chevy truck I had there. Now this truck had a little tick, had the 6.0 in it. What year was that truck? It was the Batwing. It was what do they call it? The Batwings? Had the Batwing headlights. And like I said, it had a tick in it from the get-go, but it was odd. He called me and he's like, hey, I'm in the middle of the road. Luckily it's a turn lane. And he goes, I think the truck locked up. I'm like, really? I'm like, you just left here. It didn't sound that bad. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, did you check the oil in it? Because when you got service vehicles and you got employees, they typically don't give a rat's ass about your stuff. So yeah, it was, luckily we got the motor changed out. Wasn't too bad. What's Rusty got? I'm 39, feel stronger than 29. That's good, man. That's good. It says Dave, you are correct. Drinking pop 3 years ago. Ooh, went from 220. Dang, down. So Rusty, is it the do you just stay away? Do you stay away from the sugar completely? I mean, pretty much, or do you, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you have a little here and there. Or do you just say nope, no sugar? Sugar is the big one. That's what's the sugar, man. That sugar. They say sugar is worse than cocaine. I believe it too. Because I tell you what, when I see those cookies, it's hard to say no. And it's really bad when your wife's a good cook. Dang. Mars here. What's up, Mar? I'm glad you made it. What'd you do over the week, or what you been doing on the weekend? Oh man, that water tastes good though. Had to call our dealership today for old MDD overhead door operator not closing. The ones with the beam reflector photo eye. Oh, they called overhead door and they couldn't even fix the issue. Now that is strange. That is strange. You know, I always wonder what happens in those situations. You know what I mean? Like if they send like a really like greenhorn, or like do they show up and we're like, we're not going to get commission off this or something, and they just kind of bounced or bailed. It's always weird to me. You never know. You never know. And normally this isn't the situation, but I've had a lot of customers. It's like the one I was telling you guys one time about this chemical place. And I told the guy for a long time, I said, hey man, I said, we do gates. And he's like, yeah, I know. And we didn't do it for like 3 years. We always worked on his doors, but we weren't work on his gates. And then all of a sudden this one day, we get the secretary calls me. I'm bebopping the truck. She's like, hey, they called, they need gate. And I'm like, she's like, and she's all like kind of ecstatic for me. She's like, aren't you excited? Like you've been wanting. I'm like, why? She's like, what do you mean why? I'm like, why? And she's like, well, should I call him back and tell him you're not interested? I'm like, no. I'm just curious, and it feels like you have to turn into a detective. And then I went and asked, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out the other company was there. So I said, why didn't you call them back? Well, they wouldn't come back. Why wouldn't they come back? You know what I mean? They got another job they really got to go to, or is this kind of a customer they don't even care for anymore? Because that does happen. I know we've had some customers that you kind of slack on. We actually got some in the commercial that they, how do I say it? I don't know how to say it. How do I say it? They've used the bigger corporations, the bigger companies, right? Our bigger competition, even nicer building. You should see their building, all glass front, got salespeople in there, all kinds of stuff. Got like I don't know, three, four, four, five more service trucks in a gated, beautiful gated area. Ornate. I mean, really nice place, nice facility. And yet, what's funny is we go right next door to them and do that person's gate operator. We go across the street from them, and this one's a big one. This is the ABC Supply, right? Big roofing distributor company, right? You probably got one in your state. And we do their overheads and stuff. And so, but people just don't like this company. They're not, I guess they're not called the name anymore, so I can say it, but they changed their name, and they were reliable. And what they always say to us, the joke is in the commercial is when we go to our commercial customers, they go, oh yeah, unreliable. Yeah, those people, they're the ones that we're not using no more. And so it's really not too hard. Maybe one day, another fish will come in and try, but for the most part, we're locked in. They like using us. We just, are slow and steady, and we do the job. And the one place was nice enough. They even told Cat, right? Because the stuff you turn into kind of chemically, a lot of people don't work in it. You charge a premium. The guy even mentioned, he's like, hey man, he's like, you guys get like your power tools kind of dirty or whatever. He's like, you can throw them on the bill. Like, we'll buy you power tools. And it's like, what? They're like, sweet. So, but it's a whole different animal when you go there. You know what I mean? Whole different animal. You definitely got to be your mindset, right? When you go, like we've always been, at least when I was, at the helm, it's like, go, 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 man. You got to get the next job done. Just do the bare minimum. Right now, it's like, whoa, let's do a good job. Let's take our time. But these places, you gotta even think like, I kind of think of it as like union. You got to be like, you got to go in there. And it's like, you got to be. So what are we working on today, boss? Yeah, I can fix that. Give me duct tape and some WD-40 and a hammer. I'll have it in no time. Just a different. It's a different. You got hard hats. You got to wear all that kind of stuff. Dun, dun. Mars guy says turned out reflector was about a foot higher than the beam, and nobody noticed. Overhead charge 600. Holy fudge! To diagnostics fee. Holy jeez. They blew Rusty right the hell out of the water with that. Goodness, man. Wow. Overhead does some weird stuff. Tanner's guy, I haven't had soda in 3 years. Stuff is trash, but what's it says? Bush slats will forever have a place in my fridge. Bush. Oh, yeah, well, that's good. This is good. I'm glad. This is inspiring. I'm glad you guys doing this. That way, one day when I get to meet you, you can tell me we're sitting down at a restaurant or something. I'll get and don't do it. Don't do it, Dave. So, one thing I've noticed with overhead, I wanted to go back to Mars here for a second. At $600, right? I think it's smart on their part. And this is what I mean. What I've noticed with overhead, right? So overhead for us is about an hour and a half from the shop. They're over in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area, right? And what they do when they come over to this area, which a lot of people don't like, is they will actually charge, which I think is the right thing to do. They charge, right? So, I mean, as soon as they get in the truck, you're on the clock. So if that hour and a half they're charging to get over here, they start diagnosing whatever, it takes another hour or something, blah, blah, blah. You could have a 3, and then I think they even charge for the way back. Now, another company around town gets the way you could actually increase your profit a little bit is you could always use that, right? Say that circle, like, well, excuse me, we came to your job. We went had to go back to shop. So that's our bill time. And you know where we're located. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I see there's a 4 or 6 hour bill, right? For invoicing. What the other company does is they can still do it to make more money, but they're always on the clock. So when they leave the shop, they go to one spot up north here. They're billing for that whole time. They go to another one, they're on the clock. They bill for it. That is why I do semi like the commercial and the more commercial jobs, right? Because residential, you typically don't do that, but the commercial, they'll absorb that and they understand there's something about labor that they don't frown on, but material they can get a little funky on, but labor is labor, right? They normally. Now, will they get burned out? Yes, because we've had tons of them that they go, I'm sick of this bill. It's always a minimum of $300 or $600 for them to come out and just twist a photo eye. And it's like, well, you're paying for their time, which is, you think about it, it's kind of fair, right? It's just like an attorney. That's why I always say you got to think like an attorney, how much time we lose, and I think that's why when I was talking to Mr. T, I was thinking about it too. I was like, man, there is just so much time that we don't account for, when you're taking the trucks in or you get oil changes or you're doing this, there's so much stuff behind the scenes that makes stuff happen that this is not being billed towards a job to always be on the clock, right? It's just the way it is. Where am I at? Tanner's got a snowblower or course. He says, this is high school. You can call to mom and snowblow. Much better idea. He says mowed a few times last year. I found out he needed money and I plan not to mowing for the next, what does it say here? Next 3 years. Oh, cousin. Let's see here. Go to the next one here. Evan's got with inflation, how much do kids charge to cut grass or shovel now? Ooh, I don't know. I'm kind of, so I'm glad Evan brought this up because this is something I was thinking about. And I don't know if it really follows our industry so much, but I think it does to a certain degree, right? I always kind of think that's why I like watching sometimes like the landscapers. I like watching the tow truck driver guys, because it's kind of manly stuff, right? I'm sure you're into that kind of stuff too. Um, but one thing I've noticed is like when you go through like the old Facebook world, and thank you guys for hitting the like button. I see, what did we get up to? Got 8 likes. Dang. So thank you for hitting the like button. But what I've noticed is like the prices never change. Like people are still out there like 20 bucks. 20 bucks, I'll shove your driveway. And I'm like, 20 bucks. I'm like, I can remember when it was like that whole 30 bucks for through Lowe's for us to go out and do a detail, basically go out and measure and tell, basically give it back to Lowe's so they can give it to the customer. And I kept thinking 30 bucks. I was like, I don't even want to get off the couch for 30 bucks. Like this is such a like farce, you know what I mean? And what I think about that is what I'm trying to wrap into here is I try to think about that like in our industry, right? I think that's why to some degree we will always be capped to some degree, right? Because there's always going to be like, that's why I always think like you're not the first garage door guy. I'm not the first garage door guy. And we won't be the last. There'll be people like you could die tomorrow and the world's not going to stop, baby. It's going to keep moving on. You know what I mean? Your truck's going to get sold. The tools are going to get wiped out. The business is going to get liquidated or whatever you have. Wife might move on. Things like that. Will they mourn? Yes. Will they miss you at some point? Yes. But things will continue on. The contractors will find somebody else. Somebody else will step up. But what I get at is that I always we're kind of held, right? Like, have you ever noticed, even in the economy, we're all just kind of like in the same, inflation and prices and steel prices and the wages. That's why I always kind of like, if you never know, just like with the price of material, that's why I always just double it because the inflation goes up. If you need quick numbers, you know what I mean? Depending on location, if you're staying local, just double it. Just double it. You know what I mean? Get your material, double it. Boom. There you go. Because inflation is probably what labor's gone up to because it all stays roughly the same. It's like, I like the gasoline theory, right? Gasoline used to be 10 cents, 5 cents. I don't know what it used to be when it first started out. It used to be 50 cents. That's what my grandparents used to tell me, And then I remember when I was a kid, I think it was 99 cents. I think when I remember riding around, my feet sticking out of the seat, right? I couldn't touch the floorboards and riding around my mom. And it'd be like, oh my gosh, it went up a penny. It's 98 cents. And today now it's 99. It's almost $1. It gets over $1. I'm not going to drive no more. Yeah. and here we are, $3 and something, almost $4 at one time. But it's still just gasoline. You know what I mean? It's the same gasoline. Yes, maybe it's refined a little bit. It's probably been crappy, right? Because it's got ethanol in it now. Oh, we are so brainwashed. I'm sorry. Dun, dun. Tanner. He charges 20 bucks for no more yards, so I give him 30 since I have a bigger yard and 40 if he weed whips. Ooh, he has not snowblowed yet. I got a nice snowblower last year and didn't mind it. He says, I'm not sure how he will get here or if he can before or after school, but I have 2 driveways and sidewalks, so I'm sure 20, 30 bucks to snowblow. Yeah, man. That's right. That's right. And that's good, and this is a good point too. Eventually you have to realize too your time, right? That was the thing at the shop, right? I used to plow. I don't plow the shop anymore. It was a bottleneck. I had to come in early, which wasn't really so bad. Come in early, I had to plow. And then sometimes I had to use that, like, do I plow, at nighttime, so I have to run over to the shop and plow at nighttime. Cause when you've plowed, sometimes a little bit of snow is better to plow than a lot of snow. It's really hard on the truck. so it just, you know, I don't remember exactly, but we got a guy that does he cuts the grass. He's there like I think he does it once a week in the summertime. He plows. He lives right around the corner. He's done a phenomenal job. He does a lot of businesses. There's a gas station in the corner. He does, um, and you know what? Let him. Um, I'd rather give them money because even when I had a guy cut my old property, um, it's like one of those things, right? Like I'm busy. I mean, when I was in the heart of the business, right, I'm swamped. And I remember this guy. He was going around. It was it was my burn pit for where I was burning wood garage doors, and he sucked up the cable, right? The cable that picks up the door, and I remember I came back for something. I had to get a tool or something, and he's out there. He's got his lawnmower, and this dude always would take his shirt off, and it was always like a joke because I'd be like telling my wife, like, oh, he was an older guy, no chance. But it was just fun, right? And I remember him going, he's sitting there on the side of his trailer looking at me. I come in, he's like, got a problem. Yeah, what's that? Sucked up a cable. Mm. I didn't tell you to cut that close. Now, of course, I gave him a few bucks for his blade or something like that, but it wasn't very much. I was like, how much? Yeah, I was like $10 or something. I don't remember. But the thing was, what was beautiful about it was my time because I didn't have no time. I was running out of time. I'm sure you guys have experienced it too. I am running out of time. Like I'm like the sun is like to me in business, it's always what I tell everybody that works with me, even my wife, even my kids, I'm always doing this. The sun is going down. Get to work. We got to go. And so that's my normal, thing, man. It's like the sun is going down. We ain't got much time. We got to get this wrapped up. Want to get the concrete set, whatever we're doing, get the door stacked, get out of here. We can almost finish this up. Got to get the weather seal. I don't want to do it in the dark. All that kind of stuff. And so it's beautiful, right? Because I don't think about the oil changes. I don't think about sharpening the blades. I don't think about, am I going to repair or replace this opener? That's why some things it's like you kind of almost want to rent it or sub it. You know what I mean? And that was just something I realized that I was like, dude, I'm spending so much time. I used to have a little Craftsman lawnmower. I was running around on there cutting grass. And it was like, I was never home because I'm plowing, I'm cutting grass. I'm the guy that does it all. Evan, he says, that's what I charged 12 years ago, Tanner. I live in a small mining town. He says, wasn't sure if kids were charging $50 to cut grass nowadays. I know. And it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like hey man, my hat's off to you. For any kid out there, man, go out there. $20 is better than no bucks. You know what I'm saying? I always tell my kids, I say, try to make $1 a day. It's hard. It is hard. Is it hard? No, it is hard, especially when you don't know. You know what I mean? Try to make $1 per day and then start working on trying to make $2 a day. And then, you know what I mean? And so I'm always telling them, I said, you can go down the road, pick up pop cans. They're getting to that age too, where they're getting close to wanting, like data for cell phones. And I'm like, you just wait when you get a 20, 40, $80 bill a month. Like mama said, man, once the bills come, they never stop. I can get number 2 for that, right? Put number 2 for an amen on that. They never stop. Never. It says it's hilarious watching Dave try not to. I swear he says that's girl. If me and Tony go live, he says tomorrow. I don't know exactly what it all does to the algo. I've heard it can kind of hit it, it can miss it. So I try to because I ain't gonna lie, but I watch some videos. I watch a lot of videos, and sometimes the kids are walking behind me, or even sometimes I got a big TV. I'll put it on the big TV, like normally like when I'm working out or something. And if somebody's in there, especially my young one, I don't really need like a lot of stuff coming out where they're just going, what did they say? Oh, and because my one is at that age where she'll repeat sometimes when she hears, like I can walk around and I'll say something and be like, shoot, 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 shoot. And she's like, oh, shoot, shoot, shoot. And I'm like, ooh. So I have to really watch. I have to walk around like that Mike Tyson with his glove and bite it. Yeah. Mm, Tanner's got, he says, honestly, I'll throw a couple things. Honestly, I would pay it. He says, "Oh, he doesn't really. He does a really good job, and I get home and it's done, totally worth it." Oh man, isn't it? Isn't it, dude? I'm telling you, when you get service, sometimes, and I think what's so glorious about it sometimes is just like, especially when you run business, and I feel like it hits you more when you have employees, is that it's like, oh my gosh, something got done and I didn't have to participate in it. I didn't have to micromanage it. I didn't have to set it up. I didn't have to fuel it. I didn't have to store it. I didn't have to ship it. I didn't have to drive it here, deliver it. It's like you come and you're like, oh my gosh, somebody cut the grass. There wasn't even a phone call. How dare them? They cut my grass. They didn't even say nothing. Where like when you're in business, it's like, it can be you think you got everything planned perfectly, and the guys will get there, which is sometimes their fault, sometimes not their fault, right? They'll get there and be like, we got two of the same springs. What do you mean you got two of the same? We got two left hands. Are you kidding me? Like, this thing sat in the shop for a week or two or longer, and we didn't catch this. Need to micromanage more. And I think another thing, back to this one just for a second for Tanner, I can't remember because it's been a while. It's been at least 3-4 years. What would happen is, I noticed too, is when I was plowing, it turns into be almost like so convenient that they will call me, right? And that's not bad, right? But they will call me, and it's like, hey, are you gonna plow the shop today? And it's like, dude, I already plowed it like this morning. I already plowed it. I plowed it last night too. I plowed it this morning. We're in a snow blizzard right now. Well, yeah, but the end of the driveway is pretty, the plow must have went by. It's pretty sloppy. Okay, I'll do my best. Now, but if it's somebody else, a contractor, they're normally just going to live with it, right? They're just going to go on their merry way. So there's just some stuff I noticed too. Like, I'd be plowing it, and it'd be early in the morning. I stop and talking to the guys quite a bit, which is no big deal. I like the guys, but it just adds up. You know what I mean? Especially when you're in that contractor's vortex cycle. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, look, we can't be spending 10, 15 minutes talking, man. Like, you got to get this truck running, and you're already like anticipating, right? Like, I would literally go through and I would start the vehicles, especially on a snowy or really super cold day. One, for the employees, just to be nice, right? Have the vehicles start warming up. For two, it was because I needed to make sure these damn things started. You know what I mean? Because that's the last thing I need to do is go sit down in the warm office for a minute. And next thing they're coming and going, hey man, van won't start. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't even know if we got a charger here. Like, where's the jumper cables where I could already be ahead of that? Hey, the vehicle's starting. It's not making any weird noises. It's starting to heat up for you. We got to get this day going. We're already against, especially the weather. The weather can kill you. You know what I mean? It eats up. That's why I don't like winter, because it's like an extra burden. And I don't charge winter prices. You know what I mean? Where it's like, well, we charge $100 more because we let her, and I've been to jobs, right? Where workers, like, we're literally at a job, and I pull up with the foreman guy I'm with, and I'm like, why? There's nobody sitting in the van. Why the hell's the van running? And then oh yeah, yeah, it goes out there, shuts it off. Well, then it turns into, talking to somebody. Normally, like I said, everybody talks. So eventually another employee, hey man, I just want to let you know, like, Junior over there, he lets his van run all day. I'm like, now I know why my gas bill's getting so high. Okay. All right. Well, I'll let him know. Thank you. Do 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 do. Rusty Scott Tanner, we used to mow the grass at our shop. Yeah, sometimes, like I said, there's that bottleneck. You start figuring out and it's not like, if our guy went away or something, like, it's not like I wouldn't jump on it, or, how it is. Like, you always got to be willing to wear different hats, right? until you find. Now we had this one guy. Um, he was an older guy, and I had to find somebody else because I forgot I even hired this guy at one time. I seen him down at the car tire shop. He's sitting there talking. I totally forgot who this guy was. And I'm talking to him. I said, "Why do you look so familiar?" He goes, "Well, I used to cut your grass." And I'm like, "Oh." And I was cutting the grass again. And I said, "Hey," I said, "would you like to cut the grass again?" He goes, "Well, actually, I would." I said, "I live right down the road." Well, the problem was, is he'd come in every time he cut the grass or cut the grass. He'd come in and he would talk literally for 2 hours. And I'm sitting there at the computer, where you guys seen me do lives. I'm sitting there, I'm doing the phone's ringing. I'm, trying to help the other secretary, blah, 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 and I'm like, oh, okay. And he's telling me story after story and jokes. And I'm, okay. Well, you know what? I'd literally have to be like, well, I got to go on a service call. I guess I got to get going here. I'd literally have to like jump in the vehicle and drive away. You know what I mean? Cause he just would not stop. And I was like, this can't fly. So your time, you know what I mean? And so then when we got this other guy, he shows up. He does a great job. He's got the machinery, nothing's broken down. I even had a plow truck guy one, right? Every once a month at least. They had such junky old trucks. They were around the corner. My old foreman knew him or something. He did tree stuff. He hired him, right? And man, this dude, like there'd always be a broken vehicle. Like I said, once a month I come in, there's a broken vehicle in the parking lot. And it's like, really? I mean, and you were talking like the clampins, right? I mean, it's like, this vehicle looks like it's been in the junkyard for 20 years and parts have been taken off and the cabs are all, well, anyways, I finally drew it because he left a windrow because our driveway is there's gravel. I kid you not, a foot high of windrow of gravel. Like I pulled in for the morning and I'm like, what in the heck is in front of the shop? I mean, literally right in front of the shop on the concrete, right where we walk in the office, right where I'm like, that's gotta be like, I'm just sitting there like scratching my eyes. I'm like, I'm that's gotta be like dirt off the snow or something. Like I don't know how he did that. Maybe he did a donut. He spun a donut and like it sprayed dirt on the snow. I go up there and it's a foot of gravel all along the drive. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, this dude didn't even have the nerve to see this and then also like take his plow and at least try to like spread it out. Oh no. So who guess I don't have a plow anymore, right? Sell mine or I'm in the midst of getting a different one. So I'm out there with a shovel. Everybody shows up. I got sweat, I got my Carhartts and stuff on, but now I'm all sweaty for the day. I'm just, man, what happened? Freaking plow truck guy. So when you find a good one, you keep them. Rusty says, then we realized how much time we wasted and hired a landscaper. That's right, man. Sometimes you just gotta, and the thing is what I look at it about is it comes down to, um, like I said, the machinery. The older I get, I mean, this stuff, man, it wears out. The pulleys, the belts, if you transport it or you're going to store it, that's another thing. I had to store it. Right? I had an old, I mean, this thing's old, man. It was like an 80 something Craftsman that I got from my brother-in-law. Sweet machine, man. I basically transformed the whole property because the property used to have all kinds of like trees, in it this big and some were really old, rotten ones. I was mowing down everything with that thing, just trying to get this place back into shape. And but I was looking at the tires. I took it to my small engine guy before he went out of business, and he was like, I go, what do I do for parts on this? And he goes, basically, they're pretty much obsolete. He's like, and I'm thinking, oh crap. So I'm gonna have to buy another machine if this one pukes out. And I just went, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. I got so many other things on my plate. And that's why sometimes I talk about that contractor vortex, right? You start getting the scissor lifts, you start getting the trucks, you start getting, oh, I got a lawnmower now I got to take care of. Now you got a leaf blower, you got a power washer, and it's like this stuff just starts adding up. And then sometimes you get all this stuff, and then sometimes employees want to borrow it or family members want to borrow it. And you're just like drowning. Tanner says, yeah, for now I'll rent my building. He says, but yes, next year or the year after, when I build, he said, I'm going to have my buddy do all the snow and grass. Heck yeah. And I was telling somebody too, a lot of guys, because it's so simple. right? Like I like, Tanner's got he's renting. Which is there's pros and cons, man. I tell you, now if I was starting out again, I would seriously probably lease a building. I mean, like I said, even ServPro, right? You guys probably have ServPros around you, right? The place that does restoration, fire damage, rescue, everything. They rent a building from my buddy, and he's told me, he's like, I've tried selling them the building, they don't want it. And I was like, why would they not want it? And I went, you know what? They want fixed expenses. And I went, oh, I get it. And it all snapped in my brain when the vehicles had all these problems, right? That's why I went with new vehicles. Now we could afford it. It's expensive. Some of these new vehicles, me and Tanner were kind of bouncing stuff around. I don't know, man. This stuff is only thing I can think of right now is I think a Ford Transit has some decent vans, anyways, for smaller vehicles. I don't know about the Chevy Expresses if they're still good anymore. I hear these, what is it, the 6 or 10 speed transmissions or they're grenading at some point, 80 to 120,000 miles. But I just those fixed expenses are nice. I really like them. You know what I mean? And it's not always a guarantee, but it's pretty close, right? When you have something newer, you're just making payments. You got to pay the insurance. These are fixed. Boom, boom, boom. Every month it's gonna be boom, boom, boom. Instead of these, oh, we got an older vehicle, transmission went out. Oh my gosh. Well, how much is that going to be? Three, four, six, $8,000? And then you know how it is. They tear into something, and it seems like as soon as you get transmission fixed, now the motor pukes out. It's like, and that's why sometimes I think about the ready rental. I go, what I was always going to do, I'm serious. I was literally going to make a skid because we had a forklift. Yeah, we had the forklift that time there. I was literally going to make a skid, and you just put your tools on it, and you just skid that puppy right into that van, put her down. That's your service vehicle for the day. Now you could keep it, right? I think you can keep those vans up to, because I think with U-Haul, I forget, it's like they do, they get you for the day, but then they really kind of hit you on mileage. Because one of you guys, I think Tanner, on actually a comment, I never got back to you on it, Tanner. You were saying something about the mileage. This might be another reason, just something to think about, right? That's why I talk about not traveling far. For us, we don't travel that far. I think we only put on about somewhere between 10, 15, and 20,000 on a service van per year is my guess, because we really concentrate very locally. So maybe we could do it. I don't know, but it just makes me wonder. But that way, if you get a van that's giving you some kind of, just kind of, you know what, take it back. This one's got a problem. I want that other one that looks just like it right there. You know, I did have a guy once. I had to take what my one truck was in, and I was driving the plow truck, which is, everybody complimented it because I actually took what did I do? I took great stuff. Yeah, I took great stuff. I filled in all the holes. It was great stuff, and then I made it flush, and then I took what did I do? Fiberglass Bondo. I did that all over it, right? Smoothed everything out. Had the wife roll paint it, right? Blue. It was a blue, old blue, navy blue. Everybody, I get so many compliments on the truck. People, man, this is a nice truck. Not really. It's a rusted out turd. But anyways, when my other truck went in, I was driving that around. Well, I actually put my insert, what I've told you guys about. I had that one that I can't think of what it's called. But anyways, it's the insert, and the truck, because it's a half ton, it was squatting. I mean, it was embarrassing. And so anyways, I was going to some customers that I was like, I can't be driving this, So I ended up renting a U-Haul truck, and I showed up there, and I remember one guy kind of was like, "What's up with the U-Haul truck?" And I said, "Well, I said my truck's in the shop, so this is just a loaner." And I mean, just like that. He just, oh yeah, okay, like no big deal. Like, oh yeah, that's life, man. I get it. So if they could just make some like without the U-Haul on it, like Enterprise probably does. Do 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 do. Rusty says, Dave, does your company have a minimum that you try to make for a day to cover overhead? Meaning that you don't schedule a whole day of low paying work, or do you do a weekly or monthly average? So when I was full at the helm, me and my foreman used to have roughly, it was like $1,200. That's what we figured per vehicle. Every vehicle really needed to, and um, that was not net, that was gross. That was just like on sales. because of the percentages. They had to do 1,200 or more is obviously better, worth of sales for that vehicle, which was always a little like it normally would hit about the 800, but then like the other vehicle would be at like 2,400. So they kind of averaged out. Um, but now, like I said, they are doing a little bit of residential, but like I said, the commercial is pretty much locked in, so we don't really have to fight that too much. It's more or less, because the stuff they're going to, they're always on the clock to some degree, or they do have the bid jobs. But Cap kind of handles that, and he does a really good job. I mean, he's actually normally pretty heavy on the prices sometimes. Sometimes I hear through some of the builders a little bit once in a while that you know, they have to correct something, or it's really crazy. We got some really good builders. I know one Cap did something really small for like $1,000. And I think the guy came back and said, he goes, man, he goes, I think you're charging too little. What? Who says that? And he goes, well, what are you thinking? And he goes, I ain't gonna tell you. He says, but I don't know. He's like, maybe 12, 16. I don't know. But I know you what, I wouldn't do it for 1,000. I wouldn't even think about it. And so he upped his price. So that's pretty cool. That's the people I like. I like the loyalty like that, where they'll help you out. Do 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 do. Rusty's got Tanner also. Yeah, I get that sometimes, right? Tanner's got, he says, not sure, Rusty. He says, wife is the brains. He says, I just install doors and maintain all the equipment. LOL. He says, I'm sure, but usually we are busy. We make more than what it takes to operate for the day. Yeah, sometimes. And like I think I was kind of mentioning it to Rusty actually. I would start, if anybody comes across something, email me or text me or whatever. I would like to see um who's the one I was looking at? Is it P4P or something like that? See, I don't know. See, and I don't even know if Service Titan offers this, but I've been trying to think, and I thought, heck, I might be a good guinea pig for that. Um, for doing what is it called? It's paid for performance. It just always seems like when you kind of start going down there, and I don't want to try to shoot it down before I know the information, but it's so here's an example, right? Um, at one time in the business, right, we had these sheets. I don't have one. We had these sheets that guys could make performance, right? They could make extra money. They did the sale, they completed the job. But at one point, it turned into me and my wife on our living room floor. I mean, we're talking sometimes from 6 to midnight, going through page after page after page to validate these things, right? Well, this job's not complete. So, he doesn't get paid until this job's complete. Cause what we were trying to do is, in a sense, was, like the technician had to follow through. So like if they did something, like they should have collected the money, right? They should have collected the money. Cause I had this situation one time with a tech years ago. We were working for this oil change place out in Grand Rapids. And I told him, I said, dude, I said, this is how this place is going to work. I said, they're kind of a slick, well, their oil change place. They're slick Willie, but anywho, what they work like though is you're better off going there in the evening because then they have money flowing. But when they start out in the morning, it's like they got just enough to break some $100 bills or something. But if you go there in the morning and you're like, hey, I did your spring, it's 200, 400, 600, $1,200. They're like, we ain't got that. We ain't got that. And you have to come back tomorrow or whatever, it'd always be some crap like that. So anywho, um, I told him, I took him, I said, you're going to go out there late in the evening. I said, and you're going to look at this job. And I said, here's a spring. You need it. If it needs a cable, add that on. This is this much per foot, blah, blah, blah. I gave him all the heads up. I said, dude, you need to get paid when this job is done. I said, they will try everything. The dude's got a knot of money in his pocket. I said, he does it every time. I said, or he pulls it out of the till. I said, give him a price. And I said, tell him, I said, this is what the price is going to be. And I said that you need to be paid when you're done. Okay. Okay. So what happens? 3 hours go by or something, right? He's out there doing stuff, right? I'm on to my next thing. Calls me up. And he goes, hey, he goes, I'm done with the job. He goes, but the guy said he don't have the money. Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean? What do you mean this guy doesn't have the money? Yeah, he said you don't have the money. I'm not computing this. Like, I mean, I already told you, give him a price, tell him in advance, I need to get paid. So that triggers like, you have the money, right? And he says yes. Because if you don't, I already gave him the authority. I said, bounce. I said, if he ain't got the money, I said, or he can't pay that, or he wants to get a bid or whatever he's gonna do, you leave, you know. So, anyways, now he's calling me and he's going, hey man, he goes, he ain't got the money. And I mean, I'm burning inside. And I'm like, all right. I said, I don't really know how to say this. I said, but let me put it to you this way. I said, if you come back without the money, you're not getting your paycheck this week. Oh, well, I'll let you know. Calls me, whatever, 5, 10 minutes later. Hey man, he had the money. I got the money. I'm coming back. Okay. Thank you. You know, so I mean, you just never know, man. People do some weird stuff. What's Rusty got? Do you do estimates, Tanner? Do 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 do. What are we at here? 9. We'll probably go about 10 o'clock. We'll see how it goes. Tanner, he says, nope, haven't for years. My wife and office lady do. I was not a computer guy, not even sure how to turn one on. Also, my wife started doing it to help me out. That's always great, man. I tell you what, it's really nice to have a wife involved in it, especially if they're on board. Um, do 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 do. Rusty's got Dave. Did you ever try pay for performance when they went above the daily goals? So that's what I'm kind of talking about, Rusty. Like I said, there's two things that I still have not conquered in the garage door industry, and I still have not seen nothing promoted. I haven't seen nothing at the IDA shows. I haven't seen nothing that's simple, that's cost effective, that's not blowing the budget, right? Like I think Service Titan is probably a nice feature, right? But Service Titan's so damn expensive. That's why we use Jobber, because Jobber's not. And I like the fact that you basically can cut it off at any time. And so that makes me believe in it more. But the one thing that I think is a problem is inventory. I don't know of any way that's like the product comes in, it can be documented, it can be put in the system without hiring another staff member. Yes, you can have it in your shop and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah. Inventory is a huge thing, right? And it's horrible too, because once you start having employees, remotes and stuff start walking off, maybe an opener starts getting legs and doing something. There's all these things. Inventory. So if anybody comes across anything for inventory, they go, wow, I think they got a really good system. It's affordable. I think it's because see, as far as I could tell, I was literally going to do this. I was literally going to get scanners. So you have a scanner at the shop right by the door. So anything that comes in, you put a sticker. You have to, print out a sticker, which you know how it is, right? How do you stick these things to, you know, springs and greasy springs and track and all this crap, right? Yeah, jeez. And so, you have to put tie little tags on them and put stickers on them, right? Well, I was going to do that. And then I was going to also have these little scanners. So if they had them on the truck, it was computed in there. So basically, what happened is what I wanted to see happen is that when the guys would pull stuff off, they would scan it and it would pull the inventory out, right? And then basically at the end of the day, you could see a list of what that truck used. And you'd be like, okay, that truck used a spring, it used this, because you know how this stuff is, right? During the day, stuff changes, right? All of a sudden they got a lull spot or a schedule change. And now they went, they were supposed to do a door, but that second door for the day didn't happen. They're out doing a spring job because that was more important. The door job could wait. Things change all the time. And that was part of the reason, like, if you ever notice in my office, it's got a card reader, because what I was going to do is lock that back there so nobody go back there except for like one or two people that know the inventory, and those guys would have to come in every day with their paperwork to restock. But what happens is they forget, or they don't want to, or they just whatever, you know what I mean? So it gets very complicated. You know what I mean? So if anybody comes across, but the paid stuff, like I said, we did something of a commission, but it got to be like, oh my gosh, it got so much stuff that you had to look at and approve and paperwork we had to go through that it was just like, I think me and my wife were like this. We were at the night, we were just like punching each other in the face, not really. Tanner says we do bonuses to get jobs done in timely fashion and right way. If there are callbacks, we start holding bonuses, but there is 90-day training period with no bonus. That's not bad. Now, see, something I noticed too with the place I was working down in Arizona, the residential guys were fixed. That's what I noticed. So basically, a sales guy would go out. He would get the job right for X amount of dollars, and then the guys would come out and they were paid. But they were paid so cheap down in Arizona. And then they had so many jobs. So that's probably why this guy wanted to do like he had like 4 or 5 doors on his truck, man. I mean, just slammed. I was like, whoa. And one was like a glass section. It wasn't very big, but maybe 8x7 or something. But glass section, holy crap. I was like, this dude's got a full day. But they got paid, right? But he said our commercial, he told me they're paid hourly. And I thought, well, why does he do that? And I thought, well, it's probably commercial is they can charge hourly. It's better money. And they don't want you to rush, right? Because I could tell like this guy was hustling, and I said, well, what do they do for callbacks? And he says, well, we kind of, ding them a little bit, but it wasn't that much. Um, but I could see where like commercial. And that's why for me, it's always been hourly because I just always look at it and I always go, I don't want any reason for my guys to ever come back and say, well, it's because, I had to do, no, you get paid hour. You do a good job because callbacks are the death of the garage door business. That's so much. When I heard that you have to imagine that when you do a callback, you are taking time away from another job that you could be making money on. When that registered in my head, I went, holy crap, these callbacks are ridiculous. Like this is acidine. Evan says, do you guys go back and tear stuff out when customers don't pay? Ooh, good question. Good question. Evan, so I'll tell you a little story about me one time. So I had so this is why you always got to kind of have your stuff in order, right? I had a what was it? So there's like my best friend, right? My best friend's brother was getting into the building, right? He had his building light, whatever, he's doing his stuff. Well, he called me and he said, hey man, he goes, I got a customer. We're doing the siding, we're doing windows. Well, they need a new garage door. And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, that's cool. Like, he's like, well, do you want to do the garage door? Yeah, we'll do the garage door. In a part, I kind of screwed up, but there was other stuff that added up into it. But what happened is when we got there, right, I had my best friend's brother's name on there, but then it was like I had like the customer's address because I didn't know the customer's name, right? I just knew, oh, I'm doing this for blah blah blah, and here's the address, and here's his phone number. Anyways, we install this door. Well, time goes by, we're not getting paid, right? So come to find out, I finally get a hold of the owner, and as I'm talking to the one guy, the builder, he goes, oh, no. He goes, he's going to pay you, not me, he's going to pay you. Oh, well, I'm believing him, right? Because this is my best friend's brother. And so I'm like, I'm calling this dude, and this dude's like, no, he goes, I've already paid the builder. I don't want to use names. So he goes, but I already paid the builder. And he goes, he's supposed to pay you. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm doing this back and forth like 3 times. I finally get a hold of the homeowner again. And I said, well, here's the thing, dude. I said, look, my door is on your house. I said, I don't care what you do with the builder. I said, you sue him, whatever. I said, but I need to get paid. And he goes, no, he goes, that's not how this works. He goes, he's already taken shingles from the place. He's already taken lumber. Well, I didn't know at the time that this guy was shady, the builder. He was doing stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't know, dude. Well, I was just right. I'm just thinking this isn't right. And I'm ready to go down with the ship. So I get my attorney involved, cost me a lot of money, more than the door was worth. A year later, we get the door. Well, let me step back. So before we even go get it, right, we're pretty sure the side door is unlocked. My business partner at times like, let's just go there and take the door out. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we should. Like, he hasn't paid. I'm like, but that doesn't feel right. I'm like, we probably should ask a police officer to like come sit there and watch us. So he knows like we didn't, because now if the homeowner comes back and goes, hey man, like you took my power saw, like I'm coming after you now. So, anyways, we went to the police department, and this is when I learned, I've learned a lot over business, right? That the system is not in your favor, right? And the police officer said, you can't do it. That's a civil matter. You need to go to court, small claims court. And I'm like, but he didn't pay. Doesn't matter. It's attached. It's attached. That's what he said, attached to their house. Fudge. So I'm like, okay. So then I went down to the attorney route. We get to attorney a year later, right? A year later, I get my whatever vinyl back or steel back door, whatever it was, 16x7 door used. I get to get it back. Another door company comes, our competition that we're not good friends with right now, whatever, blah, blah, they're coming to install another door. But I'm just going like in my head, well, we got our door back, even though it cost me more than it was worth. So technically no, but I did do it on 2 or 3 other occasions on springs. The side doors were unlocked. We went back in there. We took our springs because I was sick of the system. And I said, you know what? If it's that big a deal and they got the time, they can take me to court. So I did. I went back in and I reclaimed a few residential garage door springs. But that's why, like the commercial and certain things, you want to have signatures. And then so for like even for like you, Evan, if you're doing residential, that's why you don't leave until they pay, because it is so important. Don't leave until they pay, because people forget. When I first started out, I invoiced everything. I'd leave them an invoice. Here you go. You can just pay this in 30 days. 30 days go by. Where the heck's the payment? They still haven't paid. You call, oh, I forgot. Can you send me another one? Well, at the time we had to send it mail. Most people didn't have fax machines. So, we had to send it in the mail, or we had to drop it off when we're in the area, or make a special trip, and then it was like all this stuff starts adding up. And now it's like, oh my gosh, we need a secretary. You know what I mean? Because I can't keep track of all this crap. So that's why there's that vortex I talk about. Sometimes you can go too fast. So if you're new, you need to stick around. Uncle Dave, Papa Tony, listen to Rusty, Tanner, everybody. You got Rich B in the house. You got Evan. I mean, we can all learn from each other. And like I said, I made a lot of mistakes, you know what I mean? And I still do. And so that's why I love information. But yeah, that was a bad one. So the residential, I tell you what, it's just, I mean, not to say I absolutely won't, but I just really, really stress, it sucks because most time I don't want the customer to have to be there. But most time nowadays, we have the confidence, I guess, they pay over the phone. The secretary's already got the credit card. They've already paid in full. That makes you feel so much better. You do the job, you lock the door behind you, you sweep up your mess, whatever, you wave at the house, tell them have a good day, when you're leaving, things like that. But yes, with residential, I'm pretty much a big believer. You must get paid when the job is done, because there was a good video out there a long time ago that talked about, like there's an emotional thing going on there, right? They feel obligated, right? But if you give them time, what I've noticed is the customer could start nitpicking something that, and even if you walk over the whole thing and say, hey, it all looks good. You're happy with it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it looks great. Thank you so much. Right. That's the normal, just like when they go to the grocery store, they have to pay before they leave. Just like when they go to the mechanic, before they get the keys, they have to pay, you know what I mean? But at least when you got the money, there's like, it's almost like they might not call you back because of something. They might, if it's bad enough, but it's over and done. But if they hold that money, especially if it's full money too, that's ridiculous. That's why I'm always a big believer. Like, you need to get it half down. You typically need to have enough too to cover your material, because guess what? They bounce on you. It was a whatever. You're in control of, like, do you want to refund the money, or they, maybe it turns into, they go, well, we've changed our mind. Okay, well, what you paid, whatever, that's the cost of the door. I'm going to drop it off. You can have somebody else do it or whatever. It just gives you more options. What's up, Rich B? Hey, look at that. Evan's got soap. What's up, Rich? Tanner's got. Says, I have cut cables before. He says, but I've never not been paid for a door. Some smaller service work, 99.9%. He says, the time you mentioned, lean says, or lawyer, there is a check in the mail that day, which is true. Another thing, you didn't hear this from Uncle Dave. Um, if I had a weird one, especially when I was kind of first starting out with the resis, um, like how it is, like when you're installing openers for a living, you got universal remotes, you got all kinds of green. Um, what I would do is I would program a remote, and it wasn't because I wanted to go in there and tear my opener down. But if I had one time, I think, if I remember, maybe two, I had a customer, they were stalling out something, like, I couldn't get a hold of them. Like, you know how it is. Like, I've tried 3, 4, 6 times. And I can't get a hold of this customer. So what do? I drive by their house about that time when they're probably going to get home from work, hit that old button, that garage door's open. Oh, something ain't right. You know what I mean? Well, they come home. What are they going to do? Right. Their first thing is they want to do is they call you and go, "Hey, uh, that garage door opener? Oh, yeah, yeah. What's up? What's up? I've been trying to get a hold of you." Yeah. And they go, "Well, I think there's something wrong with it." "Oh, really?" "Well, I tell you what, how about I come over there and you have a check for me and I'll take a look at it for you and get you all squared away." "Oh, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. I'll have the check ready for you and you can come over and see what's going on with this thing." Cause it was randomly open, and you get there, you kind of rub the box a little bit, give it a little kiss, little blow, you know what I mean? And it's, there you go. Oh, there's my check. Thank you so much. Well, this remote can go back on my visor. It's not labeled anything anymore. It goes to something else. So that is something if I ever had something where I kind of went, this one smells a little fishy, I'm going to program a remote to this puppy, because I just have a feeling they're going to dodge us. But it's amazing when they have a problem or they had a bad, something's wrong. Oh, they'll call you right away. But when you're trying to collect, day inventory is what I can remember. I can remember in my head. Inventory. We always have so much. There's so much springs and rollers and remotes always get legs. Rich B's got soup. There you go. Right. Rich B says, a shop manager like tool room. The problem for us is like, so, here's the thing too, right? When I first got the shop, I always had these big dreams. I was like, oh, we could have all these customers come in and they can give they're going to want remotes and stuff. And that's why I really don't like remotes, because typically remotes, the problem is, yeah, you can sell remotes, but the customers, it's always it seems like it's kind of the elderly that come in a sense. Not always, but they don't want to get on a ladder. They don't know how to program it. And if they even try to program it, they're going to screw up everything, their car, their outside keypad. I mean, they're going to wipe everything clean. And so, and then it's like, by the time you sell them a remote for $40 or 50 or whatever, and then you tell them it's a 65 or it's 120 or a 405, they're like, like, how much? You're like, yeah, I just went into the Lowe's or Home Depot and openers are $200. I can buy a whole new one, and you're trying to tell me a remote, and you're like, I know. And I guess that's why sometimes you can try to walk them through it. Nowadays it's a little easier. You can tell them, say there's a YouTube video, or I got something, or this or that, or you know But with the shop manager, see, the thing is, then that's why I say you almost got to start converting into selling product out the door, right? People need to come to you and start picking up garage doors, and it's super hard to compete with the box stores. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people that are the walk-in ones, right? They're kind of doing that price shopping, at least in my area. They're looking for the best deal. So you got to either start promoting that, and then you got to have somebody there that kind of makes sense. And that's why sometimes I do see like some of our bigger competitions on the outskirts of towns. They use a man, and I think there's a reason for it. It's nothing against the women do a great job on the phone, but they haven't typically been in the field. They don't quite understand it. Where the man, if you have the guy answering the phone, he knows about the photo eyes and stuff like that. Not that some of the women don't. He knows a little more technical stuff, but he's also an asset to where he can actually help load trucks, do the more physical, maybe cut springs, torches, whatever, grinder. Rich's guy, yes, payment on completion. That was a hard thing. I didn't learn that. I didn't learn it from anybody. So I always used to give them an invoice, be like, here's a piece of paper. You got 30 days. And boy, did that burn me because, when you're out trying to chase for money and, you basically have $1,600 in the bank account and, you got bills and stuff. I mean, it was tough because, there was like days that you needed to stop and try to collect this money, but yet you don't even have time to collect money because you need to be out installing doors or out generating more leads because you just don't have no business or whatever. You're just starting out. So man, that completion is very important. And it's, and if you're an honest person, don't be afraid to do the half down. Now, don't be stupid and go spend it at the bar or something. Always have it ready that if something goes awry, that maybe the customer changed their mind, maybe something hardship, and you have a heart and you go, you know what, I'm going to give you the, I'd typically hang on to the check. They don't really like that. Sometimes I've had people call me on checks too, right? They go, hey, I'm doing my bank account, whatever, my checkbook, trying to balance it, and you haven't deposited that money. I'm sorry, but I would also try to keep that check typically with I think I kept on a clipboard or whatever with it, right? Just as like, if something goes awry, I could literally give them the check back, what I mean? Say, here's that check back. I'm sorry, things didn't work out, something yada, yada. Evan, so far payments have been good. I've been getting paid before I'm out the door, mainly cash. Ooh. Or e-transfers. Ooh, the e-transfers. I wonder, Evan, do you guys deal with do you have the option up there? I don't even know if you know this or not, because like the Venmo or Cash App, or what do you guys maybe use up? Like that's kind of pretty popular around here. I kind of like those, really. I like it better than the credit cards because they can't retract the money, but we still obviously do the credit cards, but you got to pay the fees and all that stuff. What's Dab guy? He must be doing so. Hey, iPhone 15 Pro falls between the heated leather seats. Man, that's always a bummer. I swear my truck eats them. It's got a spot, man. Everything just falls right down and it drives me nuts. Couple of packages, lifetime warranty. Nice. Evan, try to get signatures too. Signatures do seem like they are. So I think I got one still around, like that Lowe's one. It tells you like the job's uncompleted, been satisfied. Like we would have to warranty it for a year. We didn't leave any material behind, material they'd want, or just debris and stuff like that. Rusty's right. I mean, there's something, like I said, there's something magical. Just like, right, if you go down to Secretary of State for your driver's license and all that stuff, anything you do, right, you normally have to sign here, sign here, sign here. And there's something about when you sign, right? I've even heard about the realtors and scams going on, that you gotta stay with them for 6 months or whatever. It's once they have that signature, and it's like something in the people's, right, the government did a good job programming everybody. But they sign, and it's almost like they relinquished, even though it doesn't have to be, right? We're good-hearted people. We say, you know what? Hey, that was a mistake, or hey, I missed that or something. I'm going to take care of it. But it just takes that off the mind. Like I said, it goes back to that sub I had, right? And he did that job through Lowe's. He did an opener, but then he did the broken springs. The lady paid for it. She wrote him a check, and then the husband came home, had a fit that he thought he took advantage of her, my sub, when he didn't. Obviously we all know if it has broken spring or springs, garage door opener ain't going to fix it. So, if he would have had something, maybe, maybe she would have said, honey, look, I already signed, here's my receipt. I don't know. That's why I normally had the carbon copies. I made my own little papers and I had carbon copies, and it would be like satisfied, complete, or completed, or happy with service. You can do all kinds of different things. You just normally kind of learn as you go. With what, Rusty? I do buy basic carbon forms from Staples, or do I get custom ones like the Vistaprint? I'd like to know what you're using too, because I just realized that those carbon ones, do I got one sitting here? I thought I had one. The bad part is they don't have phone numbers. I was looking at one the other day, and I think it's the what's it called? It's not the invoice one. I think it's just a receipt book or something. I was like, this darn thing don't have a phone number spot. I'm like, that's crappy. Obviously, you can put it somewhere else, but um, yeah, Vistaprint. Yes, I have either one will work. If you will also give someone to show the work done and completion of job in case you leave a bill, but never itemize parts or materials. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It seems like the only time I ever have to do that is for insurance companies. They seem like they want everything broke down. You know, here's material, here's labor. Anybody know why they're kind of fussy about like that? I just know insurance, they're going to want it broke down. I don't even, it's for insurance. I just go, whatever. Here's what this costs. Here's what labor cost. And then sometimes they'll call you and try to Jew you down. They'll be like, well, you know, this is a little bit above average price. Will you take $100 off? Yeah, depending on if you want the job or not, you say yes, no. And I don't know if a lot of people, I mean, it is nice. Like if you do the Vistaprint, you know, they got it's another form that they got your information because some people are, you know, as I've gotten older, I keep all the manuals for all my equipment because, you know, I like the manuals because the manuals typically have itemized parts in there, part numbers. So if you have a chainsaw and the recoil and a little spring brakes or something, you know, that stuff's a booger to find. And do I have the right one when you have, you know, so some people really like that documentation, and it's just another way, right? Just like you should have stickers on the doors, you have business cards, you should have, you know, if your invoice also has it, it's just another way for them that if they're scrounging through, they're going to recommend you to somebody, and they go, oh, you know what? Let me go through my little desk here. I got his paperwork somewhere. I don't know where I put his business card, or, you know, that's why I also like a sticker. If you tell them, that's why I always tell the customer, say, hey, you know, I also put a sticker. I didn't have the money at the time. I didn't even know how to do it because we were just, you know, this is back in whatever, '07. '06. I mean, I was literally taking my business card. I'd come across some old doors still to this day, and I'd take clear tape and I'd clear tape it to the door. And that clear tape normally didn't like to stick, but I'd always find a sweet spot sometimes, or I'd take a little brake cleaner or whatever, clean it, take my shirt, you know, shoulder, whatever, pad, and I'd clean it. I get it on there. Well, what I found out is the door would sweat over the years and my business card. So like you'd look at it, it's all bleeded. Like you could barely, I mean, you have to look really hard to figure it out. So I I upgraded obviously to better stickers. But those seem to be a big help. You got to put stickers, you know, that's your future business, you know. And then if somebody moves or whatever, because that's what they typically do, right? They come out, they start looking. I don't know what's wrong with it, honey. Call the garage door guy. Oh, what's this right here? 24-hour service, same day service. Call this guy. He'll come save us. Just write out everything you did and parts used and write total at the bottom. Yep. I agree with that. You know, just put it all together, a package deal. That way it also helps because that's why I really like my big stickers because I can write, it's got information on it. That's my quick because life happens. And I forget, we went from 3 different softwares, and then we found out that one software would not communicate with another software. So we were actually losing data. So those customers in the past, if they call us, we don't have any records of them. So it was, you know, it's another thing why it's important for the customer to have receipts. But if we seen our sticker on there and it had some kind of information, you know, change spring out X amount of days or at this date, changed out opener at this date, man, those are really helpful. You know what I mean? Because if you ever just had that customer and they're like, I don't see in the system, we'll send somebody out. I would show up a technician. Hey, we were here before. Obviously, we didn't fix it right, or something happened. You know, or I just had customers before go, you know, you guys, this ain't even a year old yet, right? And I walk up to the sticker and I'm like, ma'am, sir. I'm like, right, you see this right here? Yeah, this door's already 2 years old, you know. Well, really? Mm-hmm. Dun-dun-dun. Rich Beast. I've done the same thing on the remote. I thought I was the only dirty dog. Darn it. I always thought it was funny because I'd always give people I give people their dignity, right? When they always wanted to do their keypad, right? The keypad was always a you know, well, normally I knock on the door or something, be like, hey, do you want me to put a 4-digit code in? And they, well, do I have to give it to you? Can I do it? Like, oh, sure. More welcome. You know what I mean? Another trick for you might help you out, make them feel a little better, is I would literally on their manual, if it was like an opener, I would just stand right there and I go, what was your 4-digit number you like? And I'd write it on the manual. For one, that's a twofold for me, right? For one, I wrote it on there so they can visually see it. They can give it to their husband or say, this is what I told him right here. He wrote this. And then I would enter it. And then what I would do is when I was done at the job, I would make them go outside or have the door close, count a few minutes or whatever until I tell them, wait till it stops blinking. I'd have them re-enter the code, hit the enter button so they would see the door open, right? So they know it worked because I'd have husband come home and all of a sudden, right at the same time or something, or wife come home. Oh yeah, I had them. They sit there, enter that. Well, nothing's happening. Another person goes, you forgot to hit enter. You got to hit enter afterwards. Oh, well, our old one, we didn't have to or something. So that's why it's always, write it down, makes them feel a little better. You're just writing it down here. I'm not writing on my hand or in my wallet or, typing it in my phone. I write it right here on your manual. You can, but I always thought it was funny when people would be like, kind of, well, can I, and I'd be like, actually, yeah, you can go put that code in, but I already programmed another remote to your garage door opener, so I don't even need to use the code. It was kind of like I always thought it was like the locksmith thing, right? Like I wouldn't expect me to be like, you know, the locksmith or something show up and be like, nope, I use my key. My key. And he'd be like, I'm a locksmith. Like, you don't think I can't get in there? Dun, dun, dun. So don't imagine if I pick up an opener. Nah, you could probably, like I said, you could do an opener. I might write on there like opener plus labor, whatever, $425, $625, whatever you charge. I would just I would put it all in there. If I was just doing like an opener, I might put on there like my paperwork. I might do, if I had two remotes, I'd do opener, two remotes, outside keypad, or, opener, one remote, no keypad. Labor included, and then I would write out like, my total. Um, it just gives people stuff to start picking apart. You know what I mean? And unless you're like having them pick it up or something like that, and you're just labor, that's obviously different. But if you're picking it up, whatever, just put it all together. Um, you know, they shouldn't be that picky. You know what I mean? If you got to do your tax and stuff on there too, they really typically don't care, especially if you already communicated to them. You already told them, hey, it's going to be 400, 500, 600, 800, whatever to install it. Eh, roll with it. It just seems like when you break things apart, you get more people that'll scrutinize it and bug you about it or say something, and you just don't need to. Hey, man, this is a total. This is a total. This is a total. Russ says, I don't in my business. He says, it's like going to a restaurant and knowing the price for each piece of lettuce. Oh, see, and hourly wages of staff. I agree. I agree. I mean, Rusty nailed it, man. I mean, that's exactly it, right? We see the price. I want a lettuce and tuna sandwich or whatever, and it's got bread, and I don't want to know, what it costs, the 10 cents to bring the plate out and to wash it. I know it's $12.99 or whatever, and I'm going to have a little bit of extra on there for a drink and this and that. Boom. So yeah, I mean, that's a good way to put it on there. Evan and I buy openers from LiftMaster for $275. He says I sell them for $1,200 depending on model or labor involved. Nobody has ever asked to split it. Like I said, Evan, the only ones I've ever had in my business was I've had the insurance companies for whatever reason. But you might not be doing that quite yet. And like I said, because if you're doing insurance, I don't know. Rusty, do you I can't remember for insurance. I feel like they're going to want information. They're going to want our insurance and our proof and all that crap. You know what I mean? So I don't even know if I'd probably bounce if they said it's going to be an insurance job. I'd be like, yeah, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like I normally wouldn't, I would charge a little bit more when it was an insurance job. Sometimes customers, you could swing them a little bit. Like you could say, hey, this is going to be insurance. You're going to have you're not supposed to do this, but you maybe tell them, say, you got a non-insulated. What if we did a vinyl back? And the customer, you might get the job that way. Is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Sometimes they got to roll windows. But like I said, it's always a give or take because sometimes the customers will do weird things. Or I'm sorry, the insurance company. They both can. Evan says, okay, maybe I'll start doing that. So I have an excuse to start installing LiftMaster and don't have to message my local door company asking for opener quotes. Maybe your local door company though should be able to have like a price sheet, or if you just call them and get your rough numbers, you should be, you know, did I read that right? Is Evan says, okay, maybe I'll start doing that so I don't have to have an excuse to start installing LiftMaster and don't have to message my local door company asking for opener quotes. Yeah, I mean, you just charge whatever you need to charge. You know what I mean? And once you've done a few and you got prices, you're going to be in the ballpark. And then if you feel like, this one's a little farther away or it's going to be a little bit more of a headache job, low headroom, beams, drywall, more angle, you just put it in there accordingly, let the customer know, say, hey, look, we're going to do some angle. We're going to do this. You can do it however you want. Contracts are great because you can just split them up kind of however you want. Let me clarify for you. He says, I buy LiftMaster directly from Clopay because I'm a dealer. And Evan says, I'm not. So Evan, I don't know if you're still using any of the box stores. You can use those too. It's just, even if you get them from the box store, just do a included price, figure out where you can get the best deal. If it's from Lowe's, that's fine. Yep. Just get whatever you feel comfortable with, openers. And I didn't realize the Genies, I guess the Genies have those piece together rails, in the store. I've been spoiled with the one piece rails. So I think I normally try to veer people towards Chamberlain if they're going to buy them from the box stores. Like I said, I'm kind of relearning myself. I'm trying to put myself in like Evan's shoes. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to start out from scratch. So it's different, especially when you have kind of anything else to your access. You know what I mean? Tanner says that, and if you ever get somebody who wants to itemize the bill, that's the customer you don't want. Just say you don't do breakdowns, the prices, the price. They just want to take it to another. I know there is something true with that. That is true. It's like they're wasting your time. You know what I mean? And so I agree. It's like you just kind of, nope, here's the price. Here's the price. You know what I mean? Company and get the material or labor part cheaper. That is true. That is true. Look at Rich has got 100%. Yep. I'd have to agree. I don't think I can challenge that. You know what I mean? Like there is something, it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, why? What do you know what I mean? What are you going to do? Like, they're going to say, like, you're charging me $200. Like, don't you think, I mean, you're only going to be here for 30 minutes. Well, it's taken many years, you know what I mean? Or many YouTube videos or many training or failures to learn what I learned to do it in 30 minutes, where it's going to take you 2 or 3 hours. You know what I mean? Be my guest. You know what I mean? But yeah, you normally, like I said, if they don't want to just, I guess, could you think about it? Like when we got our lawn guys, like them breaking it down. Okay, this is what my blades cost today. This is what my gas costs. This is what it costs for my 3 guys to run the lawnmowers. Here's my truck. Here's my, I don't know. He says, or just say the material amount, labor is free. Says that keeps the competition not knowing your material or labor prices. They can probably guess, but I was you wondering. See, I screwed up a long time ago. I was doing a big job down in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I remember I wasn't good at all at pricing, right? This was a new builder. I was really trying to impress them. I was really trying to get under their wings, and I screwed up somewhere. Somehow our numbers got off. So I ended up they wanted doors and openers. So I priced the doors, but then I made up for it on the openers. And I'll be darned, that son of a biscuit decided they don't want the openers. I don't know for sure if it was just the customer, whatever, or he said, you know what, we can get them cheaper somewhere else. But man, did that burn me so bad because my profit was in those openers because I put another $100 or $200 per opener because the doors we were just dying on them. We weren't making no money. This job was taking way longer. I had hotel expenses, and man, it crushed me. It just crushed me when they were like, we don't want but if I would have had everything together, killed me, man. Just killed me. Nobody has asked me since I made the switch this March. Yeah, like I said, the only one I know is insurance companies I've had them seem like they always want material and labor. I don't know what it is. They got something. Evan says, yeah, I said, just spend the install is 175, material is extra. Got to do what you got to do, man. 175 better than nothing. Better than picking up pop cans. There's a lot of pop cans. Evan, are you a business or on the side? I think Evan's kind of doing it on the side. Excuse me. Rich, this guy goes, I'm cheap. I use the same ones Papa Tony used, and staple a business card to it. Yep. Papa Tony does he does a business card up by the wall button, which I think that's a good idea. You know what I mean? And then it sounds like I didn't know he was stapling it. Does it sound like he's stapling it? Use a staple business card. That works too. That works. I always had a problem with the walls because I never knew what I was going to get into. Because sometimes I get into like really high end, like it's drywall painted beautiful, and I'm like, like I wouldn't mind slipping a business card, but it just seems like over time it's going to deteriorate or it could blow. Which obviously, if you put a staple in it, probably no big deal. But I always like the stickers. I always try to put them by the man doors. I don't know. I mean, I think you could do both. And I mean, something is better than nothing. I know that. Right now, Evan says right now on the side, not enough work to be full time right now. And Rusty says, you're in Canada. Yeah, Evan goes, unfortunately. Hey, we're not going to be able to be friends with Evan soon, right? Because then we got the tariff things going on with Trump and Trudeau or whatever, right? Right. We're not going to play nice. We're not going to play nice. So we're going to have to start getting after Evan. We love you, Evan. Glad you're here. What about taxes? Taxes? Who say anything about taxes, man? This is cash money. Ain't no taxes. Man, we gotta get Rusty. We gotta get Rusty over to the Boston, New York. This is the mafia. Make sure you're doing work, give receipts, and then the government wants tax from the profits. Just give it all to them. They'll take it all. Oh, the tax man. So, I haven't been, he says, haven't been giving receipts. Yeah. If it works, it works. Maybe for now that would be best. There you go, man. Cash is king. That's right. Cash is king. Till they give you $phony, those little buggers. You know what I liked one time? You guys can use it. I was talking to we have a very Christian based tow truck company that we use. Been around for forever, probably way before even I was born. And the old timer there, I was talking to him one day. We needed to get something, piece of equipment moved or something. And I said, hey, I said, how do you guys want to get paid? I said, I said, I can do cash, check, credit card. I said, well, what works best for you guys? And he goes, let's do cash. He goes, cash is simple. And I went, damn. I said, that is a good line. I like that. It was so cash is simple. Let's just do cash. Cash is simple. I went, man, I'm gonna use that. Let's just do cash. Cash is simple. Period. You know what I mean? Like, boom, cash is simple. It's not fraudulent. It's just like when I've gotten checks before, the checks bounce. We do credit cards, they retract the money. You got to pay a fee. Let's do cash. Cash is simple. Evan says for jobs, if I buy an opener, I'll give a customer the bill for that. Ooh, nice. Says, yeah, they will hit you with a 1099 at the end of the year. Not sure how Canada works, but after a certain amount, you have to start paying taxes. So who's going to hit you though? The thing is, Tanner, if he's doing for like us, what is it, $600? $600 or more is when you're supposed to. Most residential customers, I've never had anybody ever send me a 1099. That's why sometimes when you're starting out, that's why I always like the residential. You know what I mean? But if you start going commercial, yeah, you got insurance, you got to do the big boy stuff. And then I think that's what I start thinking about a lot of this stuff, right? When you start getting into it, you got to start chasing, right? You got to start paying the insurance. You got to pay, and this, and you got to pay that. And, now you got to do the taxes. And that's why it starts kind of like snowballing, where it's like, now you got to keep going, baby. You got to keep running. You got to work those late nights. You got to work those weekends. You got to, boom, 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 boom. Evan says, I was following Dave and Tony's advice. As for, oh man, Papa Tony will watch this. I guarantee it. He will love that. It's too bad he's not here right now. He would absolutely love that. Oh, Rusty's guy. Rich customers offer me cash and I laugh and say I'm not getting audited by the IRS to save them sales tax. Yeah, it's I always liked, what was it when customers do? They like offer you something. And I'm like, that doesn't even like, I'm like kind of like the same. I'm like, we are a full-fledged business. Like, that's the price. Like, I like you're not even, entertaining me. You know what I mean? Like, we're just like, we got employees, we got trucks. It's like, no. Well, what if I pay cash? I don't know what to tell you. I still got to enter it in somewhere. You know what I mean? Because now it's a full-fledged system, and I can't, undermine it because it will screw the algorithm up. Evan says right now it's like one job a month or one job every couple weeks. Yeah, for that, I'd keep me that little receipt book. If they want a receipt, you write them up something, whatever. Like I said, if they're that bored, you got some really bored people that are going to send you stuff to whatever, and if they do, here's the thing, right? Technically, when you were born, Canada, they get social security numbers too, right? You're a business. You know what I mean? You got your social security number. That's why the people can write you checks in your name. We have owners. We all are in debt to the system. We all are slaves and we don't even know it. They're just invisible cuffs. What's up, Don? Rich B says, don't forget to put the EPA fees in shop supplies. Yeah, no kidding, man. Me and Tanner were going around about the EPA killing our trucks and everything, man. I tell you, adds up. That's why, sometimes, it just all depends. You can keep it small, keep it all. And everybody's got different, everything's different in life. Your bills are different than my bills and, dreams and everything, it's just, but, we just have to remember to try to keep as much as we can, besides our family, friends, our neighbors, our employees, we there's only certain things we can control. Evan says EPA. Maybe Canada doesn't have EPA. Like diesels, like you got to diesel deletes and stuff. You can't have, can't have emissions coming out your tailpipe. We're saving the planet, What was that? What's that girl's name? I forget that girl. They always show that young girl. She's always like doing weird things about the killing the environment. I haven't seen her lately. Environmental Protection Agency. Rusty's got. Oh, Evan says, oh, right. He says, I've seen Simpsons movie. Oh, he says, I think we just have climate change Canada. Oh, that's good, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. We might be equal soon if we don't play ball with Mr. T. There you go, man. That's right. Mr. T, he's coming in, clean the house. You know what I mean? We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I think we're still kind of in a pickle of a mess that he can't clean it up at all because at least he'll be better on TV, but I don't know, man. There's a big mess. I think that Fed wants to bring the interest rates down again when inflation's killing everybody. What's the inflation like up there, Evan? Is it pretty high too? Evan's got Have you seen content from Ryan? Is it Luca? He says he's hosting podcast Torsion Talk. He's kind of does content more focused on being a business owner, leadership staff, doing sales and kind of thing. No, I haven't seen that. If you come across anything, Evan, send it to me. I'm gonna try to take a picture of this so I can hopefully maybe look it up. I always got a list of stuff I got to always look up. But if you come across something, that's always great. That's why it's really good. Like I said, if you guys ever come across, send me an email, text me. If you guys don't have my number, you can always email me and I'll give you my number. Because sometimes I know text is easier for some people. Some people like email. It doesn't matter. I see them either way. I've been on them pretty good, I think, lately. The only thing I might sometimes miss is the comments. Because the way YouTube works is with the comments, I see all the relevant new ones, but when I reply, they go away. And then I have to go back in there and then go back to what I've responded to. And I tell you what, when you go back into where you responded, it gets a little muddy on you have to dive in there and go, okay, did I click this one? Did I click this one? Did I reply? Is that my reply? Yeah, that's my reply. And you can only do about like 3 or 5. And you're like, okay, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're doing it off your phone. But like the new ones, I always see new ones because that one I always have it set for that to see new ones. But the replies. So if you guys are ever like, man, you never replied back to me, I asked him a question or something. Best way probably is email me or text me. If you have a real, question, if it's just bouncing back something, it's all good. But I don't want you guys to ever be like, man, he never replied to me. Well, it's tough the way the system works to see the replied ones. New ones, always throw a new one. Say, hey, man, you never replied to my thing. And I can try to dig for it, but it's just easier still to email or text. Dun, 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 dun. Screaming about the Greta. That's right. The Greta. That's the one. That sounds familiar. That sounds like a kind of name, right? The Greta gets after it. For sure. But anywho, like I said, I was going to stay on here till 10, about 10:30. I'm going to probably hop off. Surprise Papa Tony. He's been pretty quiet today. Even I would say he's been pretty quiet. When you say Rich, I haven't even heard nothing from him. So hopefully everything's going okay. Hopefully he's just chilling, relaxing on the Saturday. But if you guys are doing too, if I don't think I never know. My schedule always changes by the minute, it seems like. But like I said too, Evan, if you do a live, you want to let Papa Tony know too, if he wants me to kind of host it, we can be a part of it. I don't know if you guys kind of like how this works, where I got the comments up on the screen for you guys. I seem to like it because I feel like that way, if somebody goes through the live, they can actually see the comments. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I check out my lives, I cannot see the comments. It says 0 comments. And obviously I know if I'm reading them, but I don't read worth a crap. So I figure it's better to have them boom right here where somebody else can read them as they're going along. Or they can go back, and see it or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But Seems like it works as long as it doesn't shut down on me after 2 hours and 14 minutes. But last time it made it, so I don't know. Could be the shoestring budget internet. Rich B, do we need to send out an SOS to Papa Tony? He says, I think that door killed him. I didn't watch all of it, but I seen what you were saying, Rich. There was it looked like there was a pretty nice truck. Was there a truck, or a maroon looking truck that was kind of probably in the way? So that did look a little bit, the whole comment thing threw me off. That's what threw me when I was watching it. But Papa Tony came out and actually said that the comments were turned off because he had it for kids. Which is always, from what I understand when I watched the video a long time ago, that's kind of like a big no-no because when you do kids, it changes the algorithm a lot. You know what I mean? Like you don't even, it's not even worth. That's why I never do it for like, this is for intended for kids, because you get really scrutinized, I think, on it. YouTube had a big thing a few years back about them having to make you do that. So like when we fire up our videos, we're asked, is this for kids or is this not for kids? I always select the not for kids because um, for one, I don't think it can be monetized. For two, I think it's very stringent. So I mean, I think like you potentially swear or something or whatever, it could really flag. And the fact that what threw me on his is I just was like, where are the comments? I mean, normally I'll see Rusty jump in there or something, or Rich or whoever, Evan. And I'm like, where are the comments? I thought it was on my end. So I'm digging, digging, digging. I give it a thumbs up. I'm like sitting there, I'm digging. I'm like, what the heck, man? I'm like, and I remember because one person told me they had to download something to do comments. I'm thinking, I never had a problem before. So I kept thinking, well, maybe it's my phone or something. I got to find, where do they get the app? Where do you get the app to do comments? Well, when you scroll and you're doing those lives, which is fun watching other people do lives, because it's like, what's weird is I can't find my lives when I just watch it generic. Like if I jump on this phone right now, I cannot find the lives. But if I'm on somebody's live, it's like if you scroll, you'll go to another live all day long. Um, but anyways, I jumped to another one, and that one I think I was joking around. There was like some redhead girl, and I could see there was a spot to comment. And I'm thinking, okay, it's on hers, but not on Papa Tony's. And she was doing something weird, and I was just like, whatever. I'm bouncing, man. I got stuff I got to do, and I can't be watching this right now. And this lady's scaring me. uh Evan says, if I go rewatch your lives, it takes a couple days for a live comment to come back in. That's weird. That's weird. That's why, like you said, I kind of like this. It's up there. It's on the screen. Boom. I do know it seems like when you turn off the lives, it has to populate. Is one thing that's kind of a bummer. So you can't, like you normally got to wait. I don't know what it is, maybe an hour or a couple hours for the live to generate to come back in and see it. It's got to download or something. I don't know what it does exactly, but I've noticed that before because I think it's on Papa Tony's where I've watched his. I know he's doing a live. And then I don't know, it's like 20, 30 minutes later, I got a free spot when I'll be like, oh, cool. I'm gonna jump back. Oh, he's not live anymore. And then I'm like, where the heck's the live stream that he just did? This other one's 2 days old. So it's like, oh, it probably hasn't generated yet. It'll pop up eventually, but it's like, it's a bummer. You can't. Some seem like they do though. Like I've watched other people's channels, bigger ones, that shows up. Evan says, how's the battery on the computer? On this computer? It's plugged in. So I don't think there's no battery on the computer that I know of. I know it seems like ever since we got fiber. I don't know if this is planned, that whole planned obsolescence. Like they're two different companies. You got like I think it's Frontier, and then you got Xfinity or something like that. But now we got fiber, but we're still on the old Xfinity, which is like how do you call it? It's like your TV. It's got the plug and the screw, whatever, one wire. And ever since the it's almost like they're like, how like your phone starts glitching out, or a computer, and you take it to the computer guy and he cleans it and he gives it the antivirus and does all this crap, which the antivirus is normally junk anyways. It's a bunch of baloney. But anywho, it still just is never the same, right? And eventually you get to a point where you're just so tired of it that you finally just go buy a new phone. or you just go buy a new computer. I think it's planned that way. Or just like when you delete things, you know how when you delete things, it still feels like the computer is struggling. Like it's even worse now. Like every time it's telling you it's full, it's full. And you're like, I don't know how it's full. I've deleted way more files than what should be a problem. Well, I think that's kind of what they're doing right now with this internet, because this internet's been glitching. Never had a glitch problem. And I've also noticed even at the shop, we still use the Xfinity, I believe, there. And that also has had kind of the same experience. And so it's like I almost feel like they're like pushing it, even though they're two different companies, but they could be under one. They could be a sister company. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get them over here so we can really track them, or whoever, or people. So we'll start glitching the software a little bit to tick them off. So they'll switch over, and it's cheaper. Of course, it's always cheaper, right? It always seems like it's cheaper right now. And then a year or two, it'll be double again in price, and you'll be locked into that's the only one, while they cut all the other stuff, infrastructure out, kind of like our flip phones with the Nextels, right? Like, I mean, very primitive technology with old chirps, bloop, right? You could talk to people. It's great. Worked good for contractors. I loved it. I loved it. It was great. I'd love to have it even still to this day if it worked. Now they went digitally. The digital part worked like garbage. The old ones worked way better. And to talk to the group, or, somebody's, hey man, can you stop by the shop while you're out? I heard, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we go backwards. He says the stream isn't going to crash again. Well, here's the good thing, Evan. If I'm doing it, here's the thing, right? I guess it's just going to go, hopefully, the way last time it was with Papa Tony. It's going to be you and Papa Tony. So that's not so bad, because I'm not gonna extinguish it if I can, if I can help it. That's why it was pretty cool, because it was kind of entertaining for me to watch. I was just like, sweet, man. I just sat back and I was like, I'm just in the comments now, I'm like, this is crazy. So I actually think I could technically, it'd be fun just to play with. If somebody like, Evan or whoever, Papa Tony or somebody wanted to, I think I could just put them on here. You know what I mean? And they could actually be on my channel, which is just kind of cool. I just think that's kind of neat. That I think I could do that. I think I'm kind of with Tanner. I barely know how to turn this thing on, It's referring to the stream where the video died. Yeah, it was something that was on me, but obviously it died the last time too. But I had Pop Tony on, and Pop Tony could keep going. And I was surprised. I thought for sure it was going to cut out, but on my end, it was completely dead. I couldn't touch anything. I literally had to, after Pop Tony said I'm done, I literally had to shut my computer off, like literally hold the button down, like pull the power cord out of the wall. Like I couldn't even click on anything. It just, the whole thing locked up. So I don't know what happened. We have obviously tested it. We're really close right now. Actually, that 214 on the timer, it says up here, but last time we went way past 214 and we made it. So I don't know. I guess we'll just maybe have to give her a try. I figured maybe it was in the software or something that was saying like, you only get 2 hours. After that, you must pay extra, So I don't know. Anywho, I am so glad you guys have been here. If you got anything, send me the pictures. I've gotten a few. It's been a little bit quiet, but it's all good. Thank you guys for being here. Let me know. Like I said, have somebody reach out. Like I said, if we want to do something tomorrow, we can always do something tomorrow. It'd be great. Have a little group, a little team meeting. Anywho, but I'm going to get out of here. Rich says your time is up. We're getting close to 2:08. Run, baby. He says, I'll text Tony, but he says, I think we go live around 4 tomorrow. 4 is fine, actually, probably. I don't think I got too much in the books. I think tomorrow is kind of the easy day finally. So we got the Wifetron's back. So I'm doing good. I'm doing good. She's been gone for a little bit. So she had to watch, babysit house and all that stuff. So we're back. We're getting back on track. We're getting things cleaned up a little bit. All right, guys, I'm heading out. Take care. Keep your fingers. Stay safe out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And we'll see you on the next one. Eastern or Central. Ooh, good one. That's true, Evan. Have to put it in the comments. Don't know. I'm assuming that's a good question, Rich. Why'd you have to do that? Whatever Indiana is. Perfect. There you go. All right, I'm out. See you guys. Take care.